All right, so in this video, we're going to go ahead and use the different sides of the automata that we made in OnShape, and we're going to actually assemble them together in order to make the box. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Assembly tab. And if you notice currently right now, nothing's in there. You need to go ahead and insert. And if you notice, all three of those different sizes can be placed in. I tend to like to work on it kind of one by one or a smaller group. That way it doesn't get confusing with all the pieces that are in the view. So what I do know is I know that I have the 4x4s, which there are two of them, and those are the two vertical sides on either side. So I'm going to click on one, place it in there, click on it again, place the second one in there. And then the bottom face of the automata box is this 4x5. So right now I'm just going to insert one of them. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and green check. I can always go back, which I will end up doing in a little bit, to insert in additional sides to finish and complete the box. So let's take a look at what we have. And right now we have the two sides, right? And we have the base. And if you notice, they're not orientated the way we want them to be. And that's okay right now, because when you start to add the constraint and the mate features, it will cause them to move. Okay. So the first thing is I want to place and constrain the base piece, which is this one. And again, if you notice, you can rotate it if that helps you visualize it a little bit more. Again, this needs to be here. I can even type in, I want to do 90 degrees and hit enter. Now it's nice and flat so I can kind of see it. All right. The next thing, I can go ahead and click on this one. I need to rotate it this way, 90 degrees, so that you can see it. Click, hit enter. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I need to rotate this about 90 degrees, hit enter, and there you go. And these are eventually, once I constrain it, one's going to be on one side and the other one's going to sit on top on the other. Okay. But before I constrain those, I need to place the bottom. Okay. And I need to constrain this. So I'm going to use this fasten mate. So click on fasten mate. The first edge I'm going to go ahead and click on is actually the origin, that center dot right there. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to make sure that mate connector, if you can zoom and see it, it is horizontal. Okay, so click to make it stay. I'm now going to rotate this, and I would like that horizontal mate constraint and mate connector to be on the bottom face, but I'm going to move my mouse so that that mate connector goes to the corner, and click to make it stay. And if you notice, that's in the right spot that I want it. If I needed to flip it, I could use this or even flip that axis, but this is how orientation looks great. So I'm going to click to make it stay. And if you notice, if I try to move it, I can't. And again, the reason why I can't is because of this fasten mate that we added. All right, so let's go ahead and add the two sides. So again, similar idea. I'm going to click on this fasten mate because you guys are also going to be using glue, right? So they're not going to have any other degrees of freedom. I'm going to click on, and I'll have to zoom in, the bottom face. So make sure it's all outlined in orange. But I want to move my mouse not to that corner, but to this corner right here. And here's the reason being is, again, I have to line that up with a mate connector on the base plate, right? And if you notice on this base plate, if I move things over so you can see, the only mate connectors, which are those little discs that show up, are either in the center, on a midpoint, or at a vertex. And so I'm going to make it connect at this vertex, which is why I wanted to click on that outside corner there. All right, so I'm going to make sure it's horizontal too. There we go. Click to make it stay, and there you go. Constraints. Again, you could always keep flipping if it didn't flip the way you wanted it to, and there we go. Or this way, but we want it to go up. So click to make it stay. I'm going to move this one out of the way a little bit, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to make sure I click on Fasten Mate. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. I'm not clicking yet, I'm hovering over the top face, and then make sure the mate connector is in the corner. Click to make it stay. And then I'm going to go over to our other side. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to make sure I'm outlining the bottom side, and I'm going to go over here to this outer vertex or corner. Click to make it stay, because I want those vertexes and those mate connectors to line up. And that looks good. I'm going to green check. There we go. So far so good. You can kind of check it out. Try to move things. I'm going to close this for a second. Try to move things and it won't move, and it's moving in the right direction. So now we're going to add the 4 by 4.5, which that piece is going to go kind of in between these two vertical pieces. So it's going to be the third vertical piece. So I'm going to insert this 4 by 4.5. Click once to make it stay. Click a green check because I'm done for inserting for now. And if you notice, the orientation that it's in is actually kind of great. Now I'm just going to go ahead and click on Fasten Mate. I'm going to click on this face, the top face, right? But I'm going to click on this midpoint right here. Click to make that stay. And why is that critical? Because now I'm going to rotate it so that I'm clicking on the bottom face, not that one because the mate connector is vertical. I want to zoom in because I want this skinny bottom edge. Make sure the whole bottom is outlined in yellow, as you guys can see. And I want to go again to the outside midpoint. Click to make that stay. And let's zoom out to make sure that we see it correctly. Ooh, looking good. All right, so go ahead and click on the green check. I'm going to go ahead and close this window. I'm going to rotate it so that I can make sure nothing moves and it's assembled properly. Awesome. So now we just have to insert one more 4 by 5, and that's going to be placed on top. So green check, right? Because there's a 4 by 5 on the bottom. Now we need the 4 by 5 on the top. And if you notice I don't have any holes in there right now, don't worry. There will be. Sometimes it's nice to kind of start to assemble it together so you can understand what shapes you're working through. Obviously, this is a little different than how you would actually build it, because when you would build it and how you guys are going to build it, you're going to know the locations based on completing this model. You're going to know the locations of the holes that you need to drill out. Okay, so now let's go ahead and fasten the final side. So I'm going to click on this Fasten Mate. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in because we would like it to be on, let's just say, this top face right here, but the corner. But I want to make sure, there we go, that that mate connector, which is that circle, is horizontal, okay? So that's where you got to be real critical with your eye. There we go. And now, if you notice, I'm not rotating it. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and ideally, it has to line up with this face, right? And I'm going to click on this corner. And what that should do is flip it down, okay? So here we go. Click to make it stay. Awesome, it did, but it's still not quite. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate it and spin it around that axis. So I'm going to click spin, spin, spin. Awesome, one more spin, but it still didn't. Let's see if I flip it the other way. Now I can spin. Yeah, there we go. So do you see how you can use these two tools to kind of make sure that it's orientated the way that you need? And that looks good. So green check. We will keep that. I'm going to close that because I don't need another Fasten Mate. And our box is complete.